Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Mouse 17 podcast. This is Colton, and I am so glad that you come back with me. I'm going to say this every episode that I am so glad, so blessed, so thankful, so grateful that you come back to hang out with me and that you're interested in hearing what I have to say and coming along on this journey with me. So, when I was, kind of thinking about what I want to talk about today, I felt a sense of like responsibility to chat about this topic today because I'm so passionate and honestly like I love reflecting and looking back on what I've gone through and how did I get to this point in my life. And I think that it's so important to look back and to realize all the things that you've gone through to get you to this point today right now that you're at. And this episode is being released right at the end of 2023, right before we start a new year, 2024. And we all know how it goes. Everybody gets like super motivated, super inspired, and usually starts off the new year on the right foot. Everybody has these New Year's resolutions and all these things that they want to achieve for the year. And we all know how it goes. It starts off great, everybody's going, 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 then all of a sudden you fall off the end and go back to your same routine and those bad habits that you had before. And so, I really wanted to kind of just go back, reflect, walk you through this process that I'm trying this year to kind of get my mind straight and to help me to visually see what I've done this year and what I want to bring into the new year. So, I do have my pen and paper here because I've been reflecting on this all morning and I'll show you how I split it up and how this has really helped me to realize what I did all year, the good, the bad, the ugly, the great thing, the things that I would like to change, and what I want to bring into 2024 and what I want to leave in 2023. So how I did this was I took my camera roll and I took my calendar of the last year. I write everything out on a calendar, not everything, but a lot of things to keep kind of just like my work schedule mostly and important appointments down. I'm thinking about switching to like Google Calendar to kind of help keep everything condensed, but we'll see. So anyway, I grabbed my calendar, grabbed my phone, and went back to January. And I kind of got this idea. I had heard about other people kind of doing this, and so I kind of tweaked it into my own way. But this I felt like this was very powerful because I had the handwritten, like I could see my work schedule, I could see what I was doing, plus I had my camera roll to give me that visual of what was I actually doing in the moment, who was I with, where was I, and it was very interesting for me. Also, I'm so sorry, my dog is like so hyper this morning because I've worked the last couple days and she hasn't gotten to get out for exercise. So when you hear the little and the playing and the growling, it's my dog, and I just don't have the heart to just put her in her crate, while I do this because she's a part of the show at this point. So I'm sure you'll see if you're watching the video. I'm sure she'll pop up here at some point. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. I yes, camera roll, calendar, put them together to find out what I was doing, what felt good, what worked, what didn't work, and how I want to tweak this next year. So, okay, so as I was doing this, I wrote down on one side of my notebook, I'll show you, I have one side of all the months and kind of like the things that I was doing. And then the other side, I wrote it out into themes of kind of like what highlighted my year. And so I'm going to go through these themes with you to just give you an idea of, kind of how you can do it for yourself. Because honestly, I really, 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 really recommend doing this practice. This is my first time doing it, and I've loved it. This took me like an hour probably to just kind of go through. I know that I probably could have spent more time and gone more in depth, and I still will probably spend a little bit more time on this. But this really gave me a great foundation for my year going forward, starting in 2024. So like I said, on the left side, I wrote down every month. I went through my phone, my calendar, kind of wrote down the highlights of those months of what I was doing and put this into a theme on the other page. So the I came up with 6 themes, and my first one was fitness, which is a center point of my life. I absolutely it's not a want, it's like I need that outlet, I've been doing CrossFit as my form of fitness for the last 12ish years, I think. And I just it's my jam, it's what I do. Even yes, during all the the backlash that CrossFit gets because of whatever you're doing. And, when I remember when it first came out, like if you did CrossFit, like people looked down on you. I went through all that and I don't care. I still do it. I love it. And it's a highlight for me. And it's not that I honestly, it's not like I wrote this down on my calendar or anything, but like when I was looking back through my photos, there was times where I would take pictures at the gym or me and Kai doing workouts, and we did our first CrossFit competition this year, which was so awesome. We we placed third in our category out of 4 teams, but you know what? Who's counting? It was fun. We had a great time, and I love that Kai goes to CrossFit with me because it's just something that we share, that passion, that love, that joy for, and with all that, like we're being healthy, and it's a great outlet for us. It helps me relieve that stress. Along with CrossFit, I regularly walk. I try, especially on my days off from the hospital. I really, really, really try to focus on taking my dogs out, going for a walk. There's a place by my apartment that I absolutely love. It's about a 3 mile loop. It goes around a beautiful pond, and it has a little dog park that we can stop at. Bunch of grass, like it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's like my serenity. So that I love that. And then my other one, my highlight of my fitness this year was I ran the mother freaking Boston Marathon, and I'm so proud of that. I ran the whole thing, the 26.2 miles, and it took me about a little over 4.5 hours. And yeah, I'm just so proud of that. It was one of the hardest things that I think I've ever done. If you are a regular marathon runner, you're amazing. And honestly, my hat goes off to you. So that's my first little theme, my first little category whenever I was looking back in 2023 that really stood out to me. And these are in no particular order, by the way. I did not order these in importance from top to bottom. All right. My next theme, and gosh, this one's great, is love. I honestly, this one will probably be at the top of my list. I just as I was going through all this stuff that I was doing, like just so much love. Like Kai and I have so much fun. We something we need to do better is going out on more dates and like doing more things. In that aspect. But like we did so much. We went so many places. We've explored the city that we're currently living in, and I've seen when I look back on this and I look back from January to now, like I can see like the growth for us as a couple, individually and also as a couple. And I think that that's honestly this is a great practice to do with somebody, is to kind of, do this together, or do it individually and then come together and talk about it is what I would recommend. Because when you're doing it, I feel like you don't want like distraction. You don't want outside perspective when you're doing something, that you're focusing on how your year went. But again, this theme of the love that, we shared, and just so much that we did, like it was so fun to look back and see all that. And then, my love for my family, my friends, like I have so many photos and, so many things written on my calendars of people that I met up with and, went out to coffee or went out to lunch, or, saw my family in Arizona, or when my sister surprised me for the marathon. Her and her boyfriend had, come all the way from Tennessee. They drove up here with their dog and surprised me and were here to support me through that, and that meant so much to me. And then, just traveling with friends, like I have, so many photos of going places with my friends, going to New York City, like I said, going back to Arizona, going to Vegas, like so many things that was just so fun and so filled with love. And I also added on that list my dogs, because my dogs fill every single one of my days with so much love and joy. And how could I not include them in that category? They honestly, they run my life, because every decision I make has to be based around them, because they have to be taken care of. And yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. I absolutely love my dogs. My third theme that I noticed I do a lot of is traveling, which I understand is a privilege and something that I do not ever for a second take for granted. With, being with a flight attendant means we get those flight bennies, baby. So we do travel probably more than the average person, because that we don't really have to worry about that cost for the most part, and so it makes our travels a lot easier. Um, as I was going back through this, I was like, wow, like I went a lot of places, man. Like I went to DC this year, went down to Tennessee to visit my sister, we went to Hawaii to visit Kai's family, we've been to Arizona a couple times. Like I said, been to Vegas, been to New York City. And like I said, I'm so thankful. We've also done day trips. Like it's not like we fly everywhere. We've been we've driven to Portland, Maine a couple times, go up to Vermont and just explore, New England. And we're really trying to work on staying around the Boston area and New England and just kind of seeing what's around us because, who knows how long we'll be here. And there's so much out here and it's so fun to kind of explore and you can drive anywhere. For anyone who lives out here or has been here, that like you can drive to another state in an hour. Like you can be everywhere. We've gone down to Rhode Island. We've gone to Connecticut. I have a couple friends that live down in the Hartford area that I've gone down there and explored a little bit. So like the travel I love, and that's something that means a lot to me in my life and something that I find so much joy and love in because it gives you so much perspective. And even if it's places that you've been before, like when you're going somewhere, like it gives you a newfound perspective of how people live and that there's so many options out there. Like if you don't like where you're at, like you have so many just the United States alone, like you have so many places that you can go and it's fun to just kind of go around and explore and see the nature, see the scenery, go out in nature, go to a brewery, go to a restaurant, go see a show. Like we went to some Broadway shows this year, which was our first time doing that, and it was just amazing, like so fun. So yes, the I definitely have the travel bug, and I've had it for a while, and so we do make that a priority in our life. And sometimes we have to cut back a little bit because even though you get the flight benefits, like if you travel a little bit too much, like you're still spending quite a bit of money. So we do have to be mindful there, but we had some great trips and some great fun. My fourth theme is money, and this one I thought about a couple times, and I was like, ugh, yeah, money's always an ick for people to kind of talk about. Not everybody, but anytime the topic of money is brought up, it's always like, I don't know about this. But I do want to kind of talk about it because I do find I am proud of the gains that we have made this year financially together. We have, as a couple, we've really started to kind of, it took us a while to get here, honestly, but we've started to kind of hone in on, uh, I guess, like a routine, you'd say, with our finances. Like we kind of know our sweet spot of how much we can spend. We don't have like a strict budget that we live by, but we have a ballpark of, and we know, kind of when to let off a little bit and start saving a little bit more money. But we started putting things towards retirement. We've paid off a bunch of debt. We have stuff going into savings, and I'm just proud of that. And when I'm looking back and seeing how many hours that I worked, like I am just proud of the fact and blessed that we even have the opportunity to put money away and that I'm not having to live paycheck to paycheck right now. And if you are and that is your journey right now, make that a foundational point for 2024. Like I'm going to talk about that of how you can take these themes and how you can kind of tweak them, getting yourself into 2024. So as I was looking through the financial portion, I was like, oh my god, like I worked a lot. I've had the same travel nursing job for the whole year of 2023, but I've sprinkled in some other sources of income throughout the year as well. And when I went through, because I'm a nerd and I added all this up, and then I also found that I could see the total hours I worked on this app I have. But I worked a total of 1,989 hours just at my travel job for 2023. And to give you perspective, a typical full time nurse who works 36 hours a week, 12-hour shifts, would work 1,872 hours for a 52-week year. And so I worked 1988. And that's like just that. I've had a couple other jobs where I've put in the hours. So I've most definitely exceeded the 2,000-hour mark. And I'm part of me is like proud of that and thankful. Part of me is like, all right, going into this next year, like let's reel it in and try to prioritize things that are maybe a little bit more important than just the money aspect. But again, I'm thankful. I can't express enough my gratitude and how blessed I am to even have the opportunity to put in those extra hours because I understand, like I said, I understand that is a privilege of mine, but at the same time, I'm putting in the hours, I'm doing the work. Sometimes it's a little bit too much and I'm a little bit exhausted. And I think that there's more of a a balance, like a sweet spot that I could find in that. So something I'm going to work on. Okay, so that was four themes. I have two more. My fifth one is fun. We had a lot of fun, and I couldn't come up with a better word for this, but fun. Like when I was looking through, I was like, oh my gosh, like we did so much, within all of these trips that we did. Like obviously we have fun when we're on them, but just like in the Boston area, like going to the Charles River and watching the sunset, or we went to a couple Red Sox games. We didn't make it to a lot of sporting events this year, but we did go to a couple Red Sox games, which we love to do. Um, going to some concerts, like I saw some of my favorite artists this year. It's just so awesome. I got to see Carly Pearce and Kelsey Ballerini, who I'd already seen in concert. And the absolute highlight concert of my year was going to the Kelly Clarkson residency in Vegas, which was amazing. And that's some live music is something that like really makes me just feel, and you can't even explain the feeling that you get when you're at a live music event for an artist that you just love. And so for that, I am super, super grateful. And as I'm doing this and as I'm going through this, like I can just feel the happiness like radiating off of me. Like it's such a fun year. And I've never done this before, where I've gone and looked back at each month, and it's interesting to those emotions and feelings come up. You're like, oh my god, like we had so much fun. And something I'm kind of realizing in real time here is I it's funny because as you're going through your phone, at least in mine, like I don't, it's not like I have a bunch of like photos or anything of like bad times, but like trust me, it was a year of ups and downs. Like I definitely went through some stuff personally, and just uh it was not all sunshine and rainbows. This is what I'm doing here is a highlight reel of the year. Okay, just so you know, there were some down times, I promise. And so the last theme that I came up with was creativity, because this is a new one for me and it still makes me feel a little nervous to talk about. But I never expressed myself creatively. I never really allowed myself to to just like put myself out there and to do anything that felt creative, because I never felt like I was. I always was like, oh yeah, I'm good at math, I know some science, like I'm not creative, I can't sing, like all this stuff. But I've been finding so much joy and fun in this. I've been writing, I started the blog this year, I started this podcast, obviously. And I've been doing a lot of reading. I love reading books, and that's something I've kind of gotten back into. And I just feel like I've been able to express myself a lot more creatively. And I think that's been one of the most beneficial things for me this year. And I feel like I've grown so much from that experience of just having an outlet to create. And even if it's things that you're not putting out into the universe, like just going through that process of writing and talking, and whatever your creative outlet is, if that's singing or playing an instrument or drawing or anything like that, like decorating, like whatever it is, like it's important for you, and important for us as humans to have that kind of outlet to feel, because we're all creative beings. And that's something that I've realized is, just because you can't belt it out and sing, or you can't play an instrument, or you can't draw, and you're not an artist, or you're not the best writer, like there is an outlet for everybody, and we're all creative beings in our own way. And that is something that I've definitely realized this year. So those are my six themes: fitness, love, travel, creativity, money, and fun. And there's probably some more that I could get out or pick from that, but those were the ones that I kind of just were like, this stood out to me, and this makes the most sense for like my year of 2023. And then when I thought about 2024, I was like, what do I want? Like how can I take these six themes and make them better, make them bigger, or get rid of the fluff that maybe I didn't need, or be like, okay, like maybe I focused a little bit too much on money this year. For this year, 2024, let's add a little bit more fun, and, while still saving money, still, having that at the forefront, but maybe had a little bit too much fun this year, which it's fine. It is what it is, right? Try to focus on, the financial aspect of your life. And if that's been like an area of difficulty for you, try to make that a focus point this year and cut back a little bit on the fun, or take one less trip, or however you can. Or if your relationship is taking a hit and you want to make that the focus, and you have to just kind of tweak these little things to make this life yours. But if you're not going to sit down and focus on what what is right in front of you and to realize, to reflect on the year that you've had. Like, I find that it's not easy to go forward because it's all jumbled in our heads. Like, we have so much information going up in our heads every single day. Like, it is like scattered. I can be very scatterbrained. Like, if I don't write it out and just like collect my thoughts and collect things and go through it kind of chronologically, like scatterbrained. And I don't know if that's the ER nurse in me, because that's just how the day goes every single day, is like, whoa, like it's crazy. It is so scattered. So I don't know if that's just where my brain has, gone to at default now. But if I don't write this out and collect my thoughts, then it's game over. So I really, really recommend doing this practice. And it doesn't have to take you that long. Like, just go. Oh, I told you she would be here. Hey, Kona. Hey, baby girl. Kona, come say hi to the podcast. Come over here. Come here. Say hello. Hi, Kona. Thank you for coming. You're so cute. You're so funny. She's such a goober. Okay. So, anyways, so I totally got off trail there. For next year, for 2024, for me, my highlight is creativity. Like, I want to put so much effort and thought and love into this podcast and into my blog and into the website and my social media. Like, that's what I want to kind of focus on. And it doesn't mean I have to let everything else go. I'm not going to stop working out. I'm not going to stop focusing on my finances and my relationships, but and having fun. But and traveling. But I do. I want to focus on the creativity and see, how I can make that more of a priority in my life than I ever have. So I hope that you all kind of got something from this. And I really hope that you try this. I hope that you can go through your year and, if it was a tough, hard year for you, that's okay. Like, write this out and, figure out what you can do in this next year to make it a little bit better. Like, maybe you need to try to, seek out some therapy, or, maybe there's just some things that you need to change in your daily habits, and maybe you need to get into the gym, and whatever that may be. Just, I think that it's very powerful. So do some reflecting, and even if you don't share it with anybody, write it in a notebook. I think there's a lot more power in getting your thoughts out. You can type it too, whatever works best for you. But I think that there's some real power in just getting your thoughts out and like actively seeing your hand writing out these words. And you'll be surprised at, I think, like the feelings and the emotions that kind of come up. And yeah, so I challenge you to really give it a try. So thank you guys for coming by. This is the Mile 17 podcast. Find me on Spotify, Apple Podcast. You can watch the full video segment of this on YouTube, and which is at Colton Lord. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Colton Lord 17. And yeah, thank you guys for coming by and for allowing me to be here with you. So I hope that you guys have an amazing, 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 amazing end 2023. And we will see you on the other side in 2024. And we're going to make it a kick ass year. So let's do this. Thank you guys so much for coming by. I'll catch you later.